Actually quite impressed. Andorra's modelled. Impressive. Right, so we are producing that, and then Navy. This is the big one for us. So there are different classes of ship. This being the modern era, capital ships are kind of obsolete. You can see that they are terrible, terrible quality. It is possible to research new ones, so you can get like missile cruisers and things like that. We don't have the technology for that. It's very expensive to develop. Instead, we're going for the tier 2. So these are the escorts. These are your frigates and destroyers, while the patrol boats would be like gunboats and patrol ships. So yes, we have some fairly decent ones. We have the PF-103 Tappies, which are again 4-point. But right now I want escort ships because I happen to know that the Zaven Provincian ships are very strong. So we'll be building a couple of those. And the great thing about these guys is they actually have really good anti-air. And like I said, shooting down planes, kind of important. So we're going to queue up 6 of those. We have 2 naval yards, so we'll be producing 2 of those at a time. Plus we are building a 3rd one, so we can get some more of those up and running. We have no missile technology whatsoever, despite the fact that we actually have ships which are capable of shooting missiles, like the frigates I'm building right now. So we may want to research them, but not yet. Is Hong Kong in the game? Yeah. It is. As is Taiwan. Okay, so that's that. Then finally we have the actual military overview, which is this button. So this is military production, this is your actual military. We've got 96 units in reserve, so you'll notice that there are no units actually on the map right now. You can get these guys and make them active units rather than reserve. I'm keeping them as reserve. We are not at war with anyone, and having them active costs a lot more. So we'll leave them in reserve. If we go to war, boom, we suddenly mobilize, all of our armies spawn, and we're in the fight. But right now I'm perfectly happy to do that. Okay, the second step we need to do is every one of these tabs, with the exception of land, has a cabinet minister who is in charge of each of those areas. You will want to tweak this. This is where I went wrong. I really, really stupidly, and you don't want to do this, I left my minister able to take out loans. The reason I ended up with 30 billion in debt is because I said, I want you to improve the quality of my treasury. I want you to increase the amount of capital that I have available to spend. So he took out every single loan that he possibly could. No, bad move. So generally, I'm actually impressed by the AI. Sometimes it is terrible. So we are going to, as a very first thing, lock minister from bonds. You are not allowed to take any loans. Bow. Right, we started with loans on, so we are going to need to repay some of these. So we need to be somewhat careful that we don't go too much into debt at the start. So we'll need to be somewhat careful in which economic buildings we decide to build, because daily expenses is going to skyrocket because we are building some more buildings. In fact, you know what? I don't think it's worth the cost to build that extra naval yard. We are not a military power. I am not expecting to go to war for a while. So we're going to go to the land tab. We're going to click on you, and we're just going to cancel construction. And we're not going to build that. So that's saving us 3 billion right there. I just don't want to spend that money. We're not rich enough. Because I'd forgotten that we were playing with debt on. So we have a fair amount of bonds. Outstanding bonds are debt. Thankfully, we have a very good credit rating, so we can get debt fairly cheaply, which is this one. Our credit rating is 94%. That's pretty decent. If you fail to pay off one interest payment, that 94% will go down to 0. This is the second problem I had as the Dutch. So you want to be extremely careful about making sure that you have enough capital available to you to pay off the interest as it accrues. Otherwise, very bad things happen, and this 3.5 interest rate will climb up to about 5%, and then eventually you just won't be able to take out any more debt. And that's kind of bad if you want to like buy a quick new power plant or something like that. Debt's not a bad thing. You just need to make sure you keep a lock on it. So we are not going to take any loans out. In fact, I would like to repay some of these, but these are $22 billion per bond. And the interest rate is actually fairly high. So one thing I would like to have a look at, if I can remember how, it's up here, is just how much debt everyone is in at this point. So right now, debt, because the multiplayer game we were playing on, and this is why it's even more embarrassing, we started with no debt. So the United States starts as 7.8 trillion in debt, Japan 6.7, China 2.3, etc. The British, Germans are 1.7, France is 1.2, Britain's 800 billion. Netherlands, 264 billion. So yeah, we are quite heavily in debt. I would like to pay some of that off as quickly as possible so we can get rid of the debt burden. So we're going to try and raise cash. Are there different ideologies in the game? Yes, there's two. Democracies and autocracies. If you fail to get elected, your game continues, but you are then an autocrat. So the political game is quite basic. That is probably the most basic of all the things here. Check on Slovenia. It's there. Ljubljana. You want to see the debt, is what I'm assuming. Let's put you into country name order, so we can go down to Slovenia. Slovenia. You have a debt of 15 billion. It's not too bad, but you are quite a small country. And your GDP is 28,000. Actually, that's pretty good. Mine's 30 something. Slovenia is richer than I realised. You don't have a massive treasury, 1.8 billion. What is my GDP in comparison? If we go back to the Dutch, our GDP was... No, the Dutch. It's not saying here. 30,000. Huh, okay, we're only slightly wealthier than the Slovenians. Where was I? Oh yeah, ministers. So we'll start out with the state minister. So we click on this custom profile thing, and we can basically tell him what to focus on. You do have like default ones that you can select. So for example, trade relations, concentrate diplomacy on trade, source needed commodities and avoid political actions. But I want to do this myself. So we want influence. If you hover over it, it will tell you benefits will help encourage potential trade partners and foster subsidies. Concerns, some UN treaties can put pressure on the economy or limit military options. So we're going to tell you to go ahead and influence other nations. We also want a trade relations focus so that we can start doing some of this mass trade stuff. Trust me, it's going to be important for us. Okay, then our economic minister. I'm going to select you. I'm not going to care about domestic approval right now. I am purely interested in making money. So we are going to do corporate tax relief, encourages growth of the large corporate sector. Tax breaks for large corporations can often upset domestic. So we're basically trying to bring in large companies so that we can then tax them later on. We're not going to spend anything on any of those. We're not decreasing spending. We actually want that to go up. We're going to spend on education. Education, I do think, is important because it benefits business and research. We are going to increase revenues. That is the amount of taxation that we can get. Puts a stress on the economy on domestic approval. And we are going to... So this is where the problem starts. Increased treasury just means the amount of capital you have available. That's basically in order to take out loans. We've banned him from taking loans, so it's not a bad one. But he could also start selling off our stocks of goods, which right now we don't actually want to do. We want to make sure that we spend those on building things. Then we can start selling them off. We are also going to spend on infrastructure so that we can get better roads and rail and things like that. I think that sounds good. So we're going a very, very pro-business approach at the moment, just so we can start getting our industries and things kick-started. Hey, cry for sucker. Are there systems like corruption? I don't think so. Alright, resources. What are you up to? We are going to tell you not to do anything right now. No, we're going to increase domestic prices so we can sell more to our own people. Are we? We'll raise funds and control product demand. Inflationary action could hurt domestic approval rating. Nah, that's fine. And we are going to... I think that's all we want to do, actually. Eventually, we will want to maximize profit opportunities. This is basically saying sell stuff. Well, basically this is saying if someone's in a famine, we hike prices and we sell them food at a higher price. Harsh, I know, but it makes more money. And the Dutch are all about trade. So we're going to do that. We'll also want to improve our export opportunities. So added income will support our military and social spending, subject to international price fluctuations, no certainty of profit. We're going to try and do that. We're also going to try and focus import opportunities. So here is the key to the Dutch economic game. We are going to focus on having a really good diplomatic relation with the world. This is going to mean that they are more likely to trade with us with a beneficial to the Dutch trade terms. So we can basically import goods much lower than the market price. We then put these goods onto the global market and sell them at the standard price. So we're basically buying in stuff cheap, stockpiling it, so we have massive warehouses, and then selling it to whoever actually needs it at that time. So that is what we are planning to do. That is our entire economic strategy at this time. So I have a feeling in the multiplayer game, when I declared war on Russia, that tanked our diplomatic relations with the world. So among everything else that I was doing wrong, that also tanked our diplomatic relations, meaning that we were less able to do this system of buy cheap, sell high. Right, so that's you done. Technology, we are going to say that we want you to improve research efficiency and improve tech level. That's it. Theoretical knowledge that could lead to any number of applications. Unfortunately, there is no option here to just research industrial technologies, and I really wish there was, because, like I said, technology is the one area I'm like, yeah. So I would like the cabinet minister to suggest which technologies we go after in order to improve our industry. Unfortunately, that does not seem to be an option. So we're just going to have to kind of do a best guess. Most of these are just military focus, like land units, naval units, military unit designs, missiles. Even the transportation tech is to move your troops around faster. So we're just going to we're going to do a lot of this stuff manually. The other thing I want to do for you is lock the amount of money that you are spending, because I want this just to be permanently maximum. Do we want to lock any of your stuff? I think we do. I'm going to say do not sell any industrial goods. Do not sell any military goods. Consumer goods you can do what you like with, because these two I want to keep our stockpiles and use that to actually build factories and stuff, rather than just get a lump sum of cash. Although that too could be nice. Defense production, what are your priorities? I'm not sure I'm going to give you any. I mean, we could tell you to decrease spending, because I'm not expecting to go to war anytime soon. I'm also going to tell you to improve unit efficiency. So we're going to spend less. We're going to have a smaller standing army, but more elite ones. I think that's all I'm going to tell you to do. Kind of an easy one, and it should be the same cabinet minister for both of these, so we don't need to touch that. I am going to play around with the initiative. So the initiative is how much your cabinet minister does for your military forces rather than direct control. So you will notice, for example, that I have air forces on high initiative. That's because he will then tell them to go back and refuel. I lost my entire air force because they did not go and refuel. So yes, there is a fair amount of micromanagement that you need to do. So my air forces, I want the cabinet minister to have a lot of control over. By contrast, the naval forces, I want him to have no control over, because he kept on sending my ships out into God knows where and getting them sunk by submarines. So we kind of want them just patrolling the coast of the Netherlands, or if we get involved in an offensive war against someone. So for example, if Russia starts to get a bit too greedy, then we might decide to intervene, and at that point we will then control our air forces. Because we're quite a long way away from Russia, we will then be more of an expeditionary force rather than a full frontline fighting force, which is again why I'm kind of investing in elite forces which can fight for a while, pull back, replenish, back on the front line, and we can do these kind of surgical strikes rather than just being the main fight. What is this madness? This is politics. This is government. This is a very complicated game, but don't worry, I'm going through it. That's the whole point of today's session, because this evening, starting at midnight BST, I will be playing again with Bundeswehr Bob, and I won't have the time to talk through and explain all of this. This will be uploaded onto YouTube, not tomorrow, but the day after, simply because I'm now a Twitch affiliate, which means I cannot. Basically, they want exclusivity for 24 hours, which is fine. It's not unfair to ask. Okay, so the final thing that we need to do is decide what industries we wish to invest in. So the main one will be petroleum. So we're going to take a look at our oil gas fields. They are a lot cheaper than the oil derrick. So each oil derrick, so that's the ones at sea, costs 5.6 billion. That's basically half of our treasury right there. Each gas field, however, is just under a billion. So we'll go ahead and build a couple of those, probably around Groningen, because that is where the oil fields actually are. So we'll just go ahead and put 3 billion, 4 billion, 5 billion, 4 billion, 5 billion, 6 billion, 7 billion, 8, 9, 10 billion. So that's all our money gone now, because we are investing in research stuff in Leyden. So we don't want to overinvest, we don't want to be taking out any more loans, and we definitely don't want to run out of money. In fact, I'm kind of tempted to knock you down a little bit. So we're going to go back to the land thing. So we're going to keep 1, 2, 3. So I'm going to build just the oil refineries around Groningen rather than doubling, or what's the word? Rather than just building tons in just one area. Because I think that kind of locks it. No, these are industrial complexes. You could always build any kind of industry. So the way that the coloration here works, so if we go back to the oil system, is the darker red, the more resource facilities you can put in an area. So for example, this spot has a lot more oil than this spot. So here we could have put up to 4 gas derricks, 4 gas thingies, while here we could probably only get 1 or 2 because there was a lot less gas there. If it was a really dark area, like somewhere in Saudi Arabia, you could probably get the full line over here, so all 6 of them rather than just 4 of them. And that's the way that works. Hey Schmitty, why not invest all the money in food and become a moral superpower by saving Africa from itself? Because there are other countries like Brazil and Portugal that can do that a lot better. They are the agricultural powerhouses. So very helpfully telling me that I started building some stuff. Yep, thank you. I am aware of this fact. We can now unpause for the first time. So when we unpause, we are going to start being bombarded by diplomatic stuff, probably at the end of the day. So this ticks around an entire day. It's going to be quite slow, so we're just going to bump this up to fastest just so we can get this going. Here we go. So we have got the first diplomatic offers. Now when I first started doing this, I was doing it all, well, there were a couple of things. First of all, I was like, you're offering me agriculture and you're requesting money. I'm very short on money because I didn't have any because I spent it on building silly amounts of bases and things. I've been a lot more conservative this time. The other thing I didn't realize is it actually told you how good of deal this is. So right now, selling me 60 agriculture at what price? Is that better or worse than the market value? Well, actually it says right here. I just didn't notice that. So you are offering me $103 million worth of goods for a actual request of 80 million. So that is basically a profit of 23 million for that. So this is a good offer. The other thing that I didn't realize is auto accept doesn't just auto accept every single type of offer. It's a little bit nuanced. It'll only auto-accept ones where the offer is higher than the request. So we're going to go ahead and say, you know what, Cameroon, that seems legit. And if you continue sending legit offers like that, I'm going to go ahead and auto-accept it. Because before I was clicking through those, like checking each one, making sure that the offer was higher than the request, making a decision, and the number of diplomatic requests coming in massively outweighed the amount I could actually go through on a per day basis. So eventually I had like 100 outstanding requests. I was just completely overwhelmed. And then I discovered that auto. And it's so much helpful. So Chile is offering me 92 million at a request of 78. That is a good deal. Congo is offering me 21 million at a request of 16. That is a good deal. And this is also why I decided to pull back on the number of buildings I was doing, because we need a lot of available capital. We are a very capital intensive economy because we are constantly buying these goods in, holding them for a while and then selling them again. And because price fluctuations do happen, we could stand to lose a bit, but hopefully generally prices will trend upwards and we'll make more, hopefully. Or we buy the resources from the resource-rich countries cheaply, and we invest very heavily in our industry so we can take these cheap raw materials, produce them into manufactured goods, and then sell those instead. And being one of the, I'm not going to say relatively few, but one of the group of more industrialized nations, we should be more efficient about that. Plus, I intend to research technologies which increases our industrial efficiency. So, bond issue. I would like the approval to issue new bonds. Fuck off. No. I'm not giving you that power, because if you say agree to that, that then unlocks the bonds, and he'll go crazy and get loads and loads of bonds, which is bad. You're telling me that you want to build more stuff. I'm going to say no. I'm not going to give you that power. I don't want you spending my money. Besides, you should be producing some. You are. It just hadn't ticked over, I guess. So we are now producing 2 of 2. So that is the aircraft here, and we still have 3 more F-16s pending. Good. Right, next thing I want to do is say, what up, Germany? And we're going to get you some deals. So we want criminal extradition for both sides, free trade for both sides, and then, where's the other one? Free flow of labour. You're a little bit concerned about that one, but we're going to go ahead and send you that offer. And France, I'm going to send you the same deal. So extradition. Extradition doesn't really do anything, it just improves relations between us. You're saying no. Oh, okay, no extradition then. What about free trade? Alright, France is being a dick. What about... what was that one other one again? What about an embassy? Wow, you really are. Oh, bugger off then, France. Oh, the woman I absolutely hate. I have to deal with you. What about extradition? You'll accept that. What about free flow of labour? Britain will accept free flow of labour. Who are you? You are clearly not Theresa May. And what about non-aggression? You will accept non-aggression. Okay, that is good. I'm going to send you that offer. Belgium. Sorry, Greater Netherlands. What about you? I would like criminal extradition. You'll accept that. What about free flow of labour? You'll accept that. And what about non-aggression? You'll accept that too. Excellent. Yeah, Belgium are usually pretty chill towards us. And I think the other one I'm going to go with are Denmark. So we'll go with our close neighbours so we can get military alliances with these guys and make sure we don't die. I'll accept those, and we've already got free trade. Where's non-aggression? Apparently it's not an option. We'll just send you that offer and then let time pass. And as you can see, we are blitzing through these. So diplomatic exchange is successful. We'll click through those. Germany has a counter one. So Germany is saying that they also want 158 million just to kind of sweeten the deal a bit. That is entirely reasonable. I think the last time I did this, they wanted like 1 billion. I even accepted that because it's Germany. Who doesn't want to be friends with Germany at this point? You are offering 8 million for a request of 6. I accept. Angola, you want 74 at a request of 62. So Angola, this is a very generous offer. I will accept that. And then Indonesia, who does not like us very much. So you can see here, Indonesia is low. That's because Indonesia is a former Dutch colony, and they were a little bit annoyed at us about that. So they are offering me 38 million worth of goods, but they're requesting almost 60 million. That is terrible. You should be ashamed, Indonesia. Ashamed! So we'll just click through these. Successful. So eventually we are just going to be spending time clicking through the successful stuff. It's not so bad. At least then it's no evaluation. Just go click, 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 click. Right, who's this? Kazakhstan. You want to offer me 83 at a cost of 72. That is... oh, well, I meant to do auto-accept. 21 for 14. Acceptable. Thank you, Ireland. Azerbaijan. 46 for 41. Acceptable. Thank you very much. Tanzania, 218 million at a request of 163. That is, I think Tanzania, you are winning the award for the most generous so far. Then we have Cambodia, 80 million for 71. We will accept that. Malaysia, 146 for 120. Yeah, we'll do that. Turkey, 419 for a request of 510. No, not acceptable. Bad Erdogan. And actually, Erdogan doesn't like the Dutch either because we were condemning Turkish ministers spreading his propaganda in the Netherlands. So there's a couple of tensions between us as well. Zimbabwe is offering us 700 billion Zimbabwean dollars for 54 million of our own. That is actually acceptable. Whoops. We will accept that. And another bunch come in, but most of them are just the diplomatic exchange is successful. And then Israel is offering 42 for 44. That is a poor offer. No. France is just angry because he stole their flag and turned it on its side. No, they stole our flag and turned it on its side. You are Bulgaria requesting too much. That is a poor deal. I'm not going to accept that. Indonesia coming back with a slightly better one, 38 for 32. That is still a net loss. No, thank you. You are offering 362 for 196. Italy, that is the most generous so far. Wow, Italy freaking loves us. Alright, Italy. buddy. I didn't realise you liked us that much. How about criminal extradition, free flow of labour, non-aggression, send. So we're buddying up with Italy as well. Just new Turkey, that will solve the problem. Right, diplomatic exchange successful. Excellent. Italy agreed to our conditions. Czech Republic. Now this one, the Czechs in my test game were by far the most generous. They were offering like 500 million in goods for 200. So yes, it's still legit, but it's that was only 2 million for 3 million. That's one of the lowest deals we've had yet. But all right, whatever. The auto accepts mean that we'll have a lot more of those churning through. So now if we go to our goods overview, you can see that we are getting rather large stocks of goods. We will then be selling those stocks off once we are a little bit more aggressive in how we sell this stuff off. Why do we have 174 million barrels of oil? It's not locked. I think you could do with being slightly more aggressive in how much you're selling. You show us because I haven't maximized profit opportunities yet. Go ahead and do that. And we'll leave that for everything else. So you're selling everything? Yeah, so we're getting small stocks of basically everything, and we will be selling those over time. Jamaica! You're offering me 24 for 20 million. That is acceptable.